For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth lasts.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. They're running wild in the street and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
White smoke emerges from the chimney in the Vatican. A new pope has been elected. All that and more during the course of this, the most monitored talk show in the world, on the NewsSpin Facebook page as well as the NewsSpin YouTube channel. My name is Timothy Poleon. We go up until 2 o'clock this afternoon with your calls at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And Amanda will be going through some of your comments in the chat room. Hope you're having yourself an enjoyable Thursday as we embark yet upon another course of action aimed at enlightening you, engaging you, and also entertaining you as we seek to make meaningful change in the lives of the people, not only of St. Lucia, but indeed the global community. And so, white smoke emerges from the chimney in the Vatican. A new pope has been elected. That is according to the BBC. And more information, we don't know who the new pope is. He's expected to appear on the balcony overlooking St. Peter's Square shortly. The BBC says a senior cardinal will soon confirm the decision with the words, "We have a pope," and introduce the new pontiff by his chosen papal name. And certainly this came in very quickly. The conclave would have met yesterday and reached their decision during the course of today. One would have thought that they would have taken a little bit more time in terms of their deliberation.
For me, there's a simple
news of the day. Cardinals are watching Conclave, the movie, for guidance on the actual conclave. Cardinals are watching Conclave, the movie, for guidance on the actual conclave. And I don't know whether this would have influenced the choice for the selection of the new pope. But I'm sure that there'll be more analysis on this within the next few minutes and hours as the global community takes note. 1.4 billion people, that is the Catholic global community. In St. Lucia at one time we had a significant section of the St. Lucian population forming the Catholic religion in St. Lucia. 92.4% of the population, that would be sometime in the 1960s. Of late, my understanding statistics are that just a little over half of the population of St. Lucia are members of the Catholic Church. Certainly the numbers are dwindling as more people are choosing to be spiritual as opposed to being religious. A dwindling number of people who are members of the Anglican Church and the Methodist Church in St. Lucia. You have a number of people who openly tell you that they are atheists, others are theists, and so on. So some things that you need to ponder on, but I don't think that the majority of St. Lucians right now, they'll be too preoccupied with the election of a pope. I don't know if it has great significance for a larger section of the St. Lucian community, particularly our young people. And so we swerve. OECS leaders, including our own Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, met this week with the U.S. Secretary of State, and that is Marco Rubio, and discussed a range of issues: immigration, drugs, security, among other things. And we have the video where you see them lining up over in Washington. You have Drew from St. Kitts. You have the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Prime Minister of Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, etc., lining up. And so on Facebook, somebody wrote, talking about the number of heads who had to travel to Washington to meet with the U.S. Secretary of State. At last count, about seven prime ministers from the sub-region. And the person goes by the name Christian Amir, and he opines, so much inefficiency and waste in a single photo. 6 OECS governments, 6 prime ministers, and then an OECS secretariat, all paid for by the taxpayers. 6 of everything for less than 500,000 people. Literally, the only people this current setup benefits are politicians. Don't let the politicians fool you. We would be much better off with a single OECS region with one government instead of multiplying everything by 6. That makes a lot of sense. Because do not tell me that all of those leaders would be singing from a different hymn book whilst conversing with the U.S. Secretary of State. There should be some kind of commonality as far as the positions on matters relating to immigration and trade and security and things of that nature. So why should you have 6 prime ministers, 6 prime ministers having to travel, in some cases with their entourage, to Washington to speak with the U.S. Secretary of State? This, no doubt, would come at a cost to the taxpayers of the sub-region at a time when people are basically scrunting, they are suffering, they are reeling from the effects of the high cost of living and inflation and crime and a whole host of other issues. And if you're going to call on people in the sub-region to tie their waist and not to splurge and so on, why would you engage in such an expensive course of action when you can embark upon a deliberate effort to cut costs? And those heads, on a lot of occasions, they speak about the need for joint cooperation and for unity, but they are just not practicing it. Every one of those individuals, they're not prepared to make the sacrifice to cede power. All of them want to be prime minister of those little territories. St. Kitts and Nevis has a population of just over 55,000 people. A little over 55,000 people. Dominica, about 70,000. St. Lucia, 180,000. And they all want, as leaders, want to be presiding at the helm of the respective governments. And most of those economies are underperforming, underachieving. Imagine the kind of gains that we could have recorded if we had one entity as a government that would govern the affairs of those sub-regional states, and gains would have been recorded in a number of areas, talking about education, in terms of trade, in terms of securing our respective borders, in terms of ensuring that we provide proper health care to our people, because the budgets of those respective territories, if you amalgamate, if you put it together, certainly millions upon millions of dollars. You have a brain drain in some instances. You need to ensure that you keep your doctors and you keep your nurses and your other health workers and specialists and so on. So increasingly, there is need for OECS unity, not only in name, but definitely in action. On a sad note, an individual we can describe as a humanitarian, longtime president of the St. Lucia Red Cross, Mr. Yubert Pierre. He passed away yesterday while convalescing at one of the island's health institutions. The nature of his illness, I'm not privy to that. Mr. Pierre, as far as I'm told, was in his 70s. You on the verge of having a disaster, some major hurricane or storm hitting St. Lucia, rest assured you would hear from Mr. Hubert Pierre in the aftermath of that storm, particularly depending on the impact on St. Lucia or any other regional territories. You certainly, the one voice you'll be hearing from is that of Mr. Hubert Pierre, a humanitarian, and certainly one who has volunteered his time to the people of St. Lucia in particular over several decades, at least, I'm told, 5 decades. So I'm sure it's coming as a surprise to many people. I'm sure many people in the chat room would be commenting on the death of Mr. Hubert Pierre. This certainly would have come at a shock, a tremendous loss for many of us in St. Lucia. So condolences to his family and also to all the folks at the St. Lucia Red Cross. Let's open the lines right now to take your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Again, 716-2026. And again, if you are just joining us at this point in time, white smoke emerges and shares erupt at the Vatican as a new pope is elected. And I think very soon the identity of that individual will be revealed to the global community, particularly Catholics around the world, the 104 billion Catholics who no doubt are monitoring this particular development. WhatsApp message, somebody says, Tim, we need water in Blackstone. 2 weeks now, can't even use the toilet. Hope you're not having lunch at this point in time, me having to read this. But this has to be a thing of the past. And for too long, the cries, the concerns of the St. Lucian public have gone unanswered. They have been ignored. In particular, when it comes to the unavailability of potable water. You construct your home, you're given permission by the planning department to build, etc. And you have your infrastructure, you have your pipes, sink, etc., your toilet, your bathroom, you name it. And in this case, we're reading for 2 weeks, 2 entire weeks. And some people tell you 2 weeks they have been without water for months. And you complain and complain and complain. All you get are a lot of excuses from the water and sewage company. And from time to time, you'd be hearing from government ministers. They'll still be making promises. This is something that we have to give priority to, and we have to get the requisite resources. And of late, you hear things like conducting a study. You know, you still need a study to find out what is the problem. WASCO is inefficient. WASCO, they need the resources. You need to look at the infrastructure of the water utility and deal with the problem and address it once and for all. Do not tell me that you have to hide behind the talk of conducting some kind of study to ascertain why people are going without potable water for such an extended period. And yet still, we have ministers for everything. At one time we had what? The Minister for Water Resources. You have Minister for Sustainable Development. You name it. But, you know, those entities just exist in name. In the meantime, governments, including this one, they continue to boast about foreign direct investment. More hotels are being constructed. More people are coming here to set up shop. Hotels are expanding. Where's the water coming from? And let's be real about this. Where is the water coming from? So this is just a bluff. I think there's a serious dereliction of duty on the part of the authorities in St. Lucia. Those people are given the responsibility and the mandate to improve the lives of ordinary citizens. They are earning a salary, but they have basically nothing to show for it in terms of achievements. You must impact the lives of the people in a positive manner. And that should bring to you some kind of satisfaction that you became the manager or the managing director of the water and sewage company, and a few years later you can show that definitely there has been a marked improvement in the quality of service and more people are getting potable water, are benefiting from your service. But a lot of those people don't have anything to show for being in certain positions, just warming a seat. 4522979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, Tim, yesterday someone sent you a message about the ropes near the comprehensive and primary school in Larry Seuss. I passed there after work about 6 and the ropes were being placed near the schools. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tim, and good afternoon, Amanda.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Caller.
Tim, that whole CIP thing, especially that contract with Caribbean Galaxy, this thing is bugging me, Tim. I've been doing some more reading, some more research, and as well in discussions with my peers. There is one figure in that whole argument, that $100 million. Apparently, Caribbean Galaxy seem to be hanging their hats on that figure, and they will not be budging. But as I said last week again, Tim, indulge me in some simple maths. Okay, so let us say, as Ernest Healy, in his own words, disclosed, that 6,000 files were given to Caribbean Galaxy. Now, potentially, one file could consist of up to 4 family members. But let's take an average and let us see 3 family members. So that $100 million, Tim, if you were to take the 6,000 and you multiply that by 3, a family of 3, you would have 18,000 passports. Divide $100 million by 18,000, Tim, and you end up with $5,555. That is what one passport would amount to. You take that same 6,000 figure, and you see, put a family of 4. That would be 24,000 passports. Then each passport would be sold at $4,166. Now, Tim, let us compare that. And as I said last week, the attorneys or the lawyers who are involved in processing those passports, they receive at least $10,000 per transaction. So the lawyers are benefiting much more than the country. They are making more money per passport than we, the people, are benefiting. That cannot be right, Tim. Now, I do not want to say that it is corruption. I will not use that on your show. I'm being very careful. But certainly, Tim, that is ministerial malfeasance. Something is certainly wrong there. And while all this thing is going on, Tim, jazz is in the air. Not many people are concerned with what is going on with that whole CIP thing. And we need to alert the public as to what is really happening with our passport. So, St. Lucia, your passport, if Caribbean Galaxy insists that they are sticking to that $100 million figure, our passport is actually being sold for less than $6,000. In some cases, just a little over $5,000 per person. That cannot be right, Tim. That's my simple math for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, again, 716-2026. And I've been reading that the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, he has responded sternly to repeated suggestions by his Vincentian counterpart, Ralph Gonzalez, that citizenship by investment programs, also called CIP, are inherently corrupt. Brown, speaking on his radio show in St. John's, the capital of Antigua, rejected Gonzalez's suggestion that CBI could result in visa restrictions for countries that operate the programs. He said that Gonzalez was peddling the arguments of the same people who are opposed to any innovation that developing countries devise to carve out a space for themselves. The Antiguan leader said if Gonzalez is facing political pressure at home because of support for CBI, he should not suggest that such programs are inherently corrupt. Let's continue. Let me see if I have a WhatsApp message. Somebody says they're via WhatsApp. Tim, good afternoon. This is done deliberately on WASCO's part. WASCO has its staffs and supervisors positions who go around closing the mains at certain times in the night and day. They are rationing the water. Well, this has been going on for quite too long. And unfortunately, I get a sense that the opposition has not been focusing as well on the water shortages that I almost said water crisis. I think right for now it's a water shortage problem that we are having because it is confined to or limited to certain constituencies on the island or certain communities on the island. And definitely there's not been this concerted effort by our governments to deal with that problem. And we need to make this a political issue, to the extent that both political parties need to basically explain clearly their plans for the water sector in St. Lucia, how they plan to deal with that particular problem in terms of getting the necessary finances to address that issue once and for all. Because yes, we focus on crime, and I think it's very important that we do so. We focus on the CIP, but definitely water is a major concern as well. Good afternoon to you, Amanda. Let's find out what is happening in the chat room.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, NewsSpinners. A few comments in the chat room, and NewsSpinner says here, I'm happy that the Prime Minister finally met with the United States Secretary of State to discuss some burning issues that we are facing. I do hope that the time will come when we will have a press conference with media personnel so that he can let us know what transpired at this meeting. I only hope that it was not a secret meeting like our dear Auntie Emma told us that she had with GPH. And up to this day, Auntie Emma is saying to GPH, I know what you know and you know what I know. And we know that St. Lucians will never know. Another comment reads, I do hope that these leaders met before attending this meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State. Then again, the togetherness is not there. But it's more about political party than country. A NewsSpinner says here, I wonder if he said he's never seen an airport with an upstairs after landing on the U.S. airport. Another comment reads, since we are approaching the hurricane season, are our hurricane shelters prepared like the government got prepared for jazz and carnival? Someone says here, Boaden has water, Lower Jackmill has water, but Blackstone has no water. Over 2 weeks and Wasco just making excuses. Another commentary reads, when it comes to the water problem in St. Lucia, St. Lucians have become so complacent and accepting of this problem as a way of life because this is a problem. The same problem that has been taking place for decades and nothing has been done, even though better can be done. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for that update. Some more coming up during the course of this, the most monitored talk show in the world. 452-2979, 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages at 716-2026, 716-2026. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, we're reaching out with urgency and compassion on behalf of Cecil Benjamin, a devoted community member who is in critical need of medical support. Cecil recently underwent life-saving surgery to have a pacemaker implanted in Martinique, and now she needs continued care and treatment to protect her life and health. We are calling on business owners, organizations, and kind-hearted individuals across St. Lucia. Please stand with us and give Cecil a fighting chance. Okay, let's see if we have another WhatsApp message to go through. Okay, let's see if we have a call. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Yes. Did you listen to the new Prime Minister of Trinidad lately? And then she's something about she's going to sign a deal with Grenada because they have there was some exploration going on in the Sea of Grenada and they found more oil and gas than in Trinidad.
Yes.
Do you notice that?
Yes, I heard that.
Oh, Tim, you remember a couple of years ago, Grenada was in a deal with a certain company, which is Grangberg. Not Grangberg?
Yes, it was.
Yes, Grangberg with the seabed and whatnot. And they had to remove him, and they warned Kenny Anthony about it, and Kenny Anthony still take him to explore our seabed. So my question is, do we have the authority from the courts now to exploit our seabed now?
I don't have the latest on that particular development, sir, but I'll have to look into it.
I highly doubt it, and maybe if Rick Wayne is listening, he can maybe answer that question, because here we are, about 20 something years later, Tim, and millions of dollars were spent because they told Kenny Anthony not to go in a deal with Jack Grangberg. He still went and do it. You understand? And you know the whole story behind that. But what I'm leading up to, Tim, from Rochamel to Frenwell to all the scandals that this Kenny Anthony regime has over the years, behind the scenes, who was his deputy prime minister? Not the same Philip J. Pierre? Most of the time, taking up different roles of his Ministry of Africa, Minister for Infrastructure, Minister of Tourism, Deputy Prime Minister to Kenny Anthony. Hello, am I there?
You're on the air, sir.
Exactly. So today now, and Ernest Early was always in the background. So it's just like we keep on spitting in our eyes and calling it rain or whatever. There's the saying going. It is the same, what you expect to happen in this new Philip J. Pierre administration. It is the same people watching themselves in the mirror all the time. Philip J. Pierre, Kenny Anthony watching himself in the mirror, Tim. So now we have scandals with billions of dollars missing in CIP. We have a water crisis. It is a crisis. I've been speaking about it. I am urging solutions now to fill up their all drums, all whatever what they're going to take, because it's going to be a very, very hot summer. You can feel the heat from now already. So my thing is, it is time for the United Workers' Party to stand up, not just by talking, but taking action, and decisive action that can cause a change, cause people to see that they're fighting for something and not just talking, because we already know the problems, Tim. All those scandals with Jack Grangberg, it was illegal. The scandal with Rochamel, Frenwell, Jufali, where we give Jufali immunity. Kenny Anthony again, with Ernest Hilaire. The man is a Saudi Arabia man. You're making the man a maritime diplomat for maritime. Never seen a sea before. In a quest just to not to give his ex-wife any amount of the money. The English people had to come in and say that is illegal. Scandals after scandals, nobody's been held accountable, nobody's taken jail, and it will just continue going on, Tim, unless we stand up as a people and fight for not this generation but future generations. Thank you, Tim.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for calling. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Someone says, what is the contact information for Cecil? We'll try to get that information and share it with the audience. And let's see if we have some more of your... Let's see if we have a call on the landline at 452-2979. Let's see. In the meantime, WhatsApp message, somebody says there... We don't normally do that, but the person says, please extend birthday greetings to their grandmother. That's Rachel Stanislas alias Thiers of the Laquetin in Choiseul. Yes, celebrating a 105th birthday. Okay, that's exceptional. And a NewsSpin says, happy birthday. So happy birthday to you, ma'am. 105 years old. So you're worthy of getting this request read on this, the most monitored talk show in the world. Let's see if you have any comments in the chat room, Amanda.
Timothy and NewsSpin says here, if after more than 2 years the St. Lucia public is still not grasping the gravity and the seriousness of the CIP problem, then it could be either of two things. The opposition is not clearly articulating the message to the public, or St. Lucians are just feigning anger and they don't really care because they think it's not affecting them or their pockets directly. A commentator reads, the constituency of Grosile should elect Marcella Johnson as their representative because she's the right person for the right job. Another comment in the chat room reads, caller asked Richard to do an update on the seabed issue since he was the one who broke the story. And that's all for now, Tim.
All right, thank you so much. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Again, 716-2026. We have a call in line. Hello, good afternoon to you on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tim. How are you doing, young man?
I am okay, caller. How about you?
Wonderful. Sounding great, man. I'm all right, you know. Yeah, the caller that spoke earlier on there about the oil situation, you know, I was wondering, I just wondering, you said you'd check on it for us about the latest on it. But I can remember we had a situation where, with the Grindberg thing, where we did not continue further exploration, and Grindberg took us to court, and we had to pay him. So I don't know, while you clarifying that for us, you could share some light on that for us. Because I think we were the ones who prevented the exploration of our seabed.
Yeah.
While you verifying that, can you just check on that for us, please?
All right, we'll try to see if we can get an update during the course of the week.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, sir. Another WhatsApp message, we can't have a new St. Lucia with the same old politicians. Mr. Josie is singing the praises of Chasney, but when he had his chance to build a hospital, he was busy building a horse stadium instead. Whoever we vote for, we must just end up in the hands of abusers. We need to get over this Stockholm syndrome. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message while we are waiting your calls once again. Somebody says there, I am begging Ernest for for our CIP passports. Thank you. Another WhatsApp message. Okay, what somebody's saying there via WhatsApp. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that information, but we already have it regarding the election of a pope. Let's take a break. The broadcast will continue in just a moment with more of your calls and your WhatsApp messages. Isn't it about time that we have a Freedom of Information Act?
KFC is bringing the flavor and the vibes with the Jazz Box. Just $30. Get one singer or big crunch sandwich, 5 undipped wings, fries, a biscuit, 15-ounce drink, and a shot at VIP Jazz Weekend for 2. Buy a Jazz Box at any of our 5 KFC locations. Write your name and number on the receipt and drop it in the entry box to enter. Draw takes place May 7th. VIP tickets for May 9th, 10th, and 11th could be yours. Available now till May 31st. Only at KFC St. Lucia. Dine in, drive through, or order online at kfcslu.com. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucelec wishes to advise customers and the public that its customer service offices at the Carolec building in San Souci and VA4 are temporarily closed to facilitate urgent maintenance. The Lucelec Cantonment office in VA4 is now open on a limited basis, offering all services except payments. The Rodney Bay office remains open to serve customers. Customers who wish to make payments during this closure are encouraged to access the My Account service at myaccount.lucelec.com. Sure Pays online and walk-in service options or participating financial institutions. Payments made via Sure Pay and My Account Direct on weekdays from 8 to 4 p.m. will be processed to customer accounts the same day. Payments made after 4 p.m. will be processed the next business day. For account balances, please dial the Automated Account Inquiry Service line at 457-4433. Customers can access other Lucelec services by using the virtual service desk at www.lucelec.com. The management of Lucelec deeply regrets any inconvenience caused by these closures and thanks its valued customers for their patience and understanding.
Get ready to jazz up your relaxation with M&C Home Depot and Sunbelt. This jazz season, we're turning up the style and the savings. Starting May 5th, enjoy 25% off umbrellas, folding chairs, and coolers. Pure jazz bliss. But hurry, it's for a limited time only. Head to M&C Home Depot or Sunbelt today and get 25% off and celebrate jazz in comfort and style. See in-store and online for details. Sale ends May 11th. Terms and conditions may apply.
So fast pay, a new and easy way to pay. So fast pay, so fast pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
So fast pay, 2 minutes and you're on your way. So fast pay, so fast pay.
Flow is keeping you connected.
Stop. How much more pain can you take? Back pain, blinding headaches, numbness, weak knees, spinal injuries, stroke. You've tried everything. Nothing works. Enough. La Clinique du Corps has the experts and technology to diagnose and fix the problem permanently. Our specialist doctors use cutting-edge solutions to treat back pain, knee pain, sciatica, stroke recovery, spinal injuries, arthritis, heel pain, and more. With advanced pain management techniques, we provide fast, effective relief so you can live pain-free. La Clinique du Corps is an approved universal healthcare service provider in St. Lucia, accepting all approved insurance. Take back your life. Call La Clinique du Corps right now at 451-6559 to book your appointment. Pain stops here.
Essie, don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vic Bouteille. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Experience the magic of the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2025. Caribbean Fusion Night is bringing the heat on May 9th at Pigeon Island National Park. Reggae and dancehall icons, Beanie Man and Bounty Killer unite.
Tell them me don't know, so none of them are like it. Me tell the children, me no place. Woman, if you're fed up with your boyfriend, tell them of the fear and them of the figure. Oh, na.
But that's just the beginning. Young brother Patrice Roberts and St. Lucia's very own Ricky T. The Story. St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival. Purchase tickets at all sell outlets and stluciajazzandartsfestival.com.
If you're just joining us, white smoke emerges and chairs erupt at the Vatican as a new pope is elected, still waiting information regarding the identity of the individual. This is the most monitored doctrine in the world. We take your calls, 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Somebody says that I just want to respond to a comment you read about the Stockholm Syndrome. I don't think that is only who we elect. We are supposed to stand up and unite as a nation to effect change in our country. We have that right to unite against wrongdoing committed by the members of government. We are more powerful than they are, and also we are the ones who hire them. And this So, the school children are let out of school early on most occasions, and they can't attend because no water. But this is ridiculous. Plus, it's an exam term, and it's setting back the children in this day and age. I can't believe this is still going on in St. Lucia. It really needs to stop. So you see, the implications of us not addressing a critical issue as the provision of potable water to the citizens of the country does not have implications only for conducting business in terms of commerce, but certainly it affects our students because classes are disrupted. And a case in point is the students at the Fort-Asson school who are being affected, and as a result they have to be sent home early because of a lack of water. And according to that contributor, the situation is compounded by the fact that it's an exam term. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, Tim.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good day, Tim.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Tim, good day. I want to follow up on Rick's call yesterday.
Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Concerning alleged, by John Peters, Mr. John Peters.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, I want to hear his view on, and not only him, Dr. King, Dr. there are others, Stevenson King, Kenny Anthony, that contractor that Dale interviewed in the first St. Jude's matter episode. Concreto, Mr. What's his full name, Tim?
I can't remember his full name. I can't remember his full name, but I know it's Concreto.
Yes. There's a clip circulating on with Dr. King and John Peters, both admitting that the stoppage of St. Jude's for the investigation was a good move by the former administration. And it's a short clip. I don't know. I sent it to you. I don't know if you have seen it, Tim.
Yes, I have seen it.
But it's important. It's important that the people be brought back, because St. Lucians have a very short memory. All the people, look, you just read a message a while ago from somebody saying how Shasne was struck. Shasne never built any horse track. Okay, if he did build horse races, some people are even saying Shasne bought horses with our money.
Yeah.
So where are the horses?
I think the name is Donnelly.
If the horses are Shasne's own.
Caller, the name is Donnelly.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Donnelly.
Yes, you're right, Tim. You're right. But Tim, all of that, that's what the people were fooled about. But the people that I mentioned, Tim, those people are alive and well. They know the truth. So the people who don't know anything better, who are repeating what they hear by the rum shops, those people have to find some kind of integrity in their soul, from their soul, and come and speak truthfully about St. Jude. We're not only concerned about St. Jude's opening and spend more money from St. Jude's, but we want to know that the money that was spent, the $114 million that was spent, according to the report, where is the value of that money? Because as far as the report indicates, only $80 million can be properly accounted for. 44 million cannot be accounted for, Tim. All right? Now, when the Saudi loan was received, was taken, signed, the Prime Minister, I remember very clearly, he said that some of the stadium and a portion on the hospital. Reno is saying it doesn't matter how much she spent. So is Reno now saying that chances that the whole 200 million will be spent. That was a hospital that was on. Let us not forget that, Tim. We cannot be spending money, so I don't care which politician have to answer. But I will call the names again because it's on the record. Stevenson King, Dr. Anthony, and Dr. Nelly, Shanta King, Dr. King, and John Peters. Those 6 people have to come in a public forum and account on Dr. St. Rose. Come and say what they saw then that they refuse to say now. We're still struggling with St. Jude's after 16 years. They have, if they volunteer, you have to cause them to come to a public inquiry because they are here, they're in St. Lucia. It's time for them to shape up and speak. Those who earn money were getting 40 Jude, St. Jude's cannot open. Engineers getting $30,000 a month on St. Jude's and they're not even visiting St. Jude's. Only in this banana republic that can happen. Only. Take it easy, Tim.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. We apologize for the poor technical quality of that call. It broke up constantly, so we apologize for that. I think you got the gist of the contribution of this caller. So breaking news, the new Pope is Robert Prevost, the first American pontiff, and will take the name Pope Leo. He is 69 and he is a reformer, and he will appear on the balcony overlooking St. Peter's Square shortly. Crowd erupted into cheers in St. Peter's Square earlier as white smoke billowed from the chimney. So the new Pope is an American, and he is 69 years old, and he'll be going by the name Pope Leo. This is the most monitored talk show of the world. We have a call online via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin, you on the air. Hello. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. All right, let's see if we have a WhatsApp message to go through. Somebody says that, Tim, I want your answer on this question. Why do you think is the best prime minister in the Caribbean? I think she is Mia Motley because she can run away a seat in Barbados and win. Do you remember the guy Bermuda said that Bajans don't elect garbage? Chasney run the country like a business, and Philip J. Pierre is running the country as a tea boutique. Let's see if we get this call on the air. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Rick. Good afternoon to you.
Yesterday, a number of the, I suppose I could call them the brighter among the ostensibly brighter among your audience, sought to put a few little tacks in the things I say, as if I don't know what I'm talking about and haven't been doing this long enough, or that I don't know our people as well as I know the back of my hand, and I know the back of my hand pretty good. I don't know about you, Tim, but when I say what I say, regardless of my passion or aggressiveness, my intellect is what's working most of all, you know. I want to throw that out there so that when I make my statements, I take into account that we have bright people in your audience, we have troublemakers in our audience, we have irreversible idiots in our audience, and we have people in our audience who don't give a damn anyway, whatever comes. Is that nice coverage, would you say? That would make up for our population?
Of course, sir.
Eh?
Of course.
Exactly. So I just want to warn them again, because I made the point that I have no time for, I want to repeat that if you would allow me. I have no time for losers. I am not used to losing. I'm used to winning. My whole career is a winning career. I went up for bodybuilding and whatnot at a time when black people didn't count. And I was winning, number one. Held jobs where I was the only black person there, which kind of suggests to you the period we're talking about. So I know about fighting hard. you don't hear me talking about black people and white people and racism. There's a very good reason why I don't. It's not that I'm not offended by the atrocities black people have been plagued with over the years. But Tim, I am a lot more concerned that we do absolutely nothing significant to get out of that mud hole. I am convinced we love having the crutch. Well, they did that to us, and they did that to. Point to me what you've been doing for yourself, Tim, despite your history. What a wonderful thing when a guy rises from rags to riches in an honest fashion. He can brag about it, Tim.
Yeah.
When your parents pass money on to you, you don't brag about that. That's no sign of resilience and success. But when you come from Puasho and your parents or your mother was putting you through school on peanuts, and then you go through school properly, and today you are an international name by virtue of what you do. You are well known at home, one of the leading names. I'm talking about you, Tim. A lot to be proud of, no? If only by yourself, to hell with what others might think. But you feel accomplished. You feel you have stepped over all the bad breaks that were put in. You beat all the odds. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
Good. I hope others get it too, because we don't want to get it. And so when I say winners don't have time to moan, back to the drawing board. And they will win by whatever means necessary. And you want to tell me, when you're damn right, I will repeat it. If the referee didn't see it, it didn't happen.
and every time you say that, a particular image comes to mind. That is of Diego Maradona, the hand of God. I don't know if you know about it. Follow the football.
Somebody told me about that this morning.
Yeah, the hand of God. He scored with his bare hand. And the referee was not aware of this. And Argentina won.
Tim, one guy who epitomizes everything that's wonderful. My hero, Muhammad Ali, and I'm sure yours as well.
Yes, very much.
Muhammad Ali was not just famous for the rope-a-dope, you know. Muhammad Ali was famous also for lightning elbows that nobody saw.
Yeah.
Tyson as well, you know, Tim. On the football field, you got to do things. Part of the game is to get by with things the referee didn't see. And that's the best way of putting it. Part of the game, the winning game, is to get by with things the referee didn't see. So if he didn't see, it didn't happen. That's part of your expertise. That's part of your talent, isn't it?
And it comes with special skill, eh?
You're telling me? The idiots who do it and get fouled every time, the idiots. You want to tell me Maradona has never committed a foul? You want to tell, etc.? So I say winning is everything. And I want to say this also to you, Tim. You know how many buildings that people buy, and they decide to break down the building. This building is okay, but they break it down to build a new one.
And that is to the amazement of ordinary folks, huh?
To their amazement, but you can bet your life the guy who is doing it has very good reason.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
And he knows what he is doing. So that the point I want to make is sometimes you are left no other choice when a thing has gotten so rotten that it is beyond salvation. Sometimes you have to flush it down the toilet. No?
It calls for that on occasions.
Pardon?
It calls for that on occasions.
Well, St. Lucia is there, you know. St. Lucia is there. We have had governments come in and out. We've had governments come in twice and three times. And St. Lucia is still complaining about the very things that I've always heard them complaining.
Lack of potable.
Problems in the school.
Lack of potable water.
Potable water.
Poor health care.
Rapes.
Poor health care.
Unresolved crimes. Murders. You know what's even more interesting, Tim? Think of the more egregious revelations, either by inquiry or by people talking about it or by letters. Think of the worst things our politicians have done in their time. And you tell me one that has been arrested. Even arrested. We've had inquiries that have found people accountable. Tell me one of them who appeared before a court. The Prime Minister controls everything, or his cabinet controls everything. The Prime Minister and his who I'm saying there, the Prime Minister and his cabinet, they determine what's going to happen. They're responsible even for the air we breathe. Think about that. So they are judge, jury, and executioner. How the hell, if Alan Chasney comes into office tomorrow with his group, and Alan Chasney starts doing all the very things he was complaining about when he was in opposition, what do you think is going to happen? If we start, we will just complain about, let me put it correctly. If Alan came into office and proceeded to do exactly the things that he was complaining about when he was in opposition,
I mean, the people will be disappointed and dissatisfied.
That's all. That's all. And they will take terms calling Chasney names and calling that is all. Nothing has been done to stop the rot of this country for years and years. There has been no accountability. Somebody was telling me that our audit, I can't believe it, is actually 6 years behind the times, As far as I know, but that person is an expert. And what you have is judges judging judges. And talking about judges, you remember a little while ago there was a case of a judge who had applied for a position, and he had gotten the job, but there were complaints that he had gotten the job illegally, basically, because he didn't meet the requirements. You remember that?
Yes, I remember, yes.
You heard any more about that since then?
Nothing. We have not heard. I've not heard anything about it.
There was a judge out here who recused himself from a case on the basis that there was political interference. Do you know what that interference was, Tim? The answer is no. Then the guy who ceremoniously sent off to Grenada, where I hear he's under house arrest, but nothing more, a little Grenada. We used to know what's going on in Barbados, what's going on in all those. Not anymore, Tim. Not anymore. All we seem to be doing is putting ostensible nobodies, and I'm not calling anybody, but I'm not apologizing my language. Do what you want with it. People nobody knew anything about. People who are not famous for anything. People who had no special track record. Because those are the people who put themselves up for politics. And ironically, those guys rise above those of us who have a track record, who have education, who have training. We bow to them. I mean, I am very, very disturbed about my friend. Help me out.
Who's
John
that friend
Peters.
of his? John Peters, yeah.
John Peters used to be a journalist, complaining about things, putting his foot down no matter what government.
A social commentator.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what John Peters is right now, although there's the other perverse side of that, Tim. Why should John Peters...
A lot of people are doing right now. That is what a lot of people are right now.
Put yourself first.
Put yourself first, and then you look after the interests of the country. Because according to the Prime Minister, if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of the country?
Well, I didn't have that one, but I have a lot of interpretations for that. But I want to keep in my thing that I want to make the point that even when a guy is a good guy, as I knew
John Peters.
John Peters to be, as I knew him to be. Look at George Odlum when he was in his heyday. George Odlum was an educator, etc., etc., etc. You go out and check the records. I don't think you'll find what's on in Hansard and elsewhere coinciding with George at his best. We have no encouragement for people to be on. I remember Guy Joseph. Guy Joseph has a way of saying things that come out cockeyed, and we jump on that. But I remember Guy Joseph saying, in this country, it is hard for anybody to be honest on what's that effect. Remember that?
No, I can remember that one.
Well, he did. He said in this country it's hard to be honest. And it's true, because you are not admired for it, you are not promoted for it. What is promoted and a slap in the back for is if you're rich and you give out a few cents and they don't care how you made the money or who's back. Politicians should always be under the microscope. Nobody should trust a politician. Politics is not a seminary. And even with the Pope, there's politics at him. If you do your reading. I just want people to be aware of that the only people we are fooling are ourselves with this kind of notions. Rickwin said this or Rickwin said that, and you're trying to twist it or whatever. Rickwin don't give a damn how you interpret what he said. Rickwin knows what he's saying. Do with it what you want. Thank you very much, Tim.
All right, Rick. Thank you so much for your daily contributions to this broadcast. Let's find out what's happening in the chat room. Amanda.
Tim, a few comments from early in the chat room. Someone says here, I just don't understand my St. Lucians. Why are you all so scared of standing up and demanding change? You have the power. Maybe it's time to protect yourself. Now the comment reads, the stoppage of St. Jude's was the best move ever. The going back to the old building was an idiot move, and it shall be felt for decades to come. A NewsSpinner says there, from time the SLP came out with this horse before hospital, I knew that the retarded SLPs believed that a horse racing facility is a hospital for horses. Another comment reads, even Soleil group of festivals was a great move, but the SLP government won't say so either, because St. Lucia needs more festivals. Someone says there, exactly, Marik, on point as always. Some politicians, who got into politics in just a little over 3 years and got rich overnight, will not understand the struggles of people like farmers, vendors, fishermen, and those who are going on an extra mile to put their children through school and food on the table for their families. Hence the reason why these politicians feel comfortable in feeding us with handouts to keep us where they want us. And some of us are very satisfied with the half a loaf when the whole loaf was in our hands to belong in the first place. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Again, assistance is being sought on behalf of Cecil Benjamin. Let me go through what has been sent to me in its entirety so that if you can, you'll provide some level of support. We're reaching out with urgency and compassion on behalf of Cecil Benjamin, a devoted community member who is in critical need of medical support. Cecil recently underwent life-saving surgery to have a pacemaker implanted in Martinique, and now she needs continued care and treatment to protect her life and health. We are calling on business owners, organizations, and kind-hearted individuals across St. Lucia. Please stand with us and give Cecil a fighting chance. How you can help? Donations can be made to her account at Library Credit Union. That's the Library Credit Union, Bridge Street, Castries, account number 56619 under the name Cecil Benjamin. Once again, donations can be made to her account at Library Credit Union, Bridge Street, Castries, account number 56619 under the name Cecil Benjamin, Cecile Benjamin, Benjamin. Every contribution, no matter how small, will go directly towards Cecil's post-surgery medical care and the travel expenses for follow-up treatment. Together, let's be the reason Cecil sees tomorrow. 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages at 716-2026. WhatsApp message, and it reads, I must say I really appreciate the input of veteran journalist Rick Wayne as always, simply because he's honest, straightforward, and very intellectual and factual. Apart from that, he has the humor and charisma like hardly any other. I'm 61 years young, and I've been hearing him on the airwaves, and up to today, he has been true to himself and St. Lucia. Rick Wayne did not have to be in St. Lucia, but he chose to be, because I think he loves his country. Honestly, In his other life, he should be a politician. Maybe he could have more opportunity to do good things, not just limited to advice. Respect to Rick Wayne. WhatsApp message. Let's see if you have another one. Somebody says there to Jeremiah Norbert. While you made jazz a thing that Miku North deserved and was caressing the microphone, I'm pleading with you to use that same voice and microphone to reach out as crime prevention minister to the families of the deceased brothers, daughters, and kids that are being executed like mosquitoes. We, the people of Miku North, know that all lives matter. We know what it feels like to be mourning the loss of our child/children. While we press on the cultural basis, we yearn for the health, economic, and security of our country. This festival holds no weight for political mileage. Jeremiah Norbert, while we know where the idea of this Miku Jazz stemmed from, let's keep it real and appreciate our security and focus on our special educational and disability environment. These are the struggles we face on the island and that you are acquainted with. Our schools need security. Our kids need protection. Our women need assurance. Jeremiah, is it true that this Viege spot was in the quest for investors to get an opportunity for purchase? Don't you think the fishers need a better place to congregate? How about putting them first? But instead, it was alleged that the booths for them to make money for them to eat was rented at an exorbitant cost. I'm asking the minister to represent like he should, since he has created history by whatever means necessary. This from a born child of Miku North, and I will rally and campaign to continue the work of the former rep. Miku will prevail. 4522979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let's see there. Somebody says, let's see if you have a WhatsApp message. Okay, the person simply says, thank you, I guess, for having read this note on behalf of Cecil Benjamin. And searching for more of your WhatsApp messages. Somebody says there via WhatsApp. Okay, thank you for that information. The new Pope is called Leo the 14th, and he is from the United States. Already shared that information with the audience. Another WhatsApp message. This one reads, Tim, why do people still in 2025 believe that the former Prime Minister was the one building the horse racing track and not the developer? This has been addressed many times before and clarified, yet people still seem not able to understand that. To date, despite all the allegations of using state funds to buy horses and build the racetrack, not one, not a single receipt, not an invoice, not a whiff of evidence can be produced by the now government to support those allegations. Yet, people still repeat it. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. It reads, Tim, with all what's happening with CIP, don't you think it's time long overdue you invite the minister on your program? Another one, Tim, that's not true. Shastney was building both the horse track. Okay, not worth reading. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Okay, somebody says there, any individual with a basic understanding of Project Management 101 would immediately recognize that the St. Jude Hospital project had reached a critical point of project scope creep. To borrow the words of John Peters, it had ballooned to Herculean proportions. When a project reaches this stage of uncontrolled expansion, responsible project governance demands a structured intervention. The appropriate course of action in such scenarios is to conduct a comprehensive project audit, evaluating current deliverables, timelines, cost overruns, and scope changes to determine whether the project can still meet its objectives within reasonable constraints. If the audit reveals systemic inefficiencies, the next step is to implement a project recovery plan, which may include scope redefinition, stakeholder realignment, rebaselining of costs and schedules, and in extreme cases, project termination and redesign to avoid further financial and operational hemorrhaging. This is not a matter of politics, but of sound project management principles. The Alan Shastey administration understood the assignment, but when you are tasked with delivering development in a nation plagued by limited intellectual capacity, even progress itself becomes Herculean. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. Still to come, more of your calls and your WhatsApp messages and the need for a Freedom of Information Act.
Ultimate all-inclusive.
Chalet Blanc, the all-white event. Tier 1 now available at Frontline Ticketing, Eventbrite, Digital Baywalk Mall, 4 Circles Ticketing, or WhatsApp at 240-344-8629. A musical journey curated by the best local and international DJs. St. Lucia Carnival Saturday, July 19th, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m.
At Sanders Golf and Country Club, Kappa State.
Look something to talk about.
Unlimited drinks, brunch buffet, top-class entertainment.
Stay tuned. This event is powered by One Golden Fox and Natalie Events.
Stop. How much more pain can you take? Back pain, blinding headaches, numbness, weak knees, spinal injuries, stroke. You've tried everything. Nothing works. Enough. La Clinique du Corps has the experts and technology to diagnose and fix the problem permanently. Our specialist doctors use cutting-edge solutions to treat back pain, knee pain, sciatica, stroke recovery, spinal injuries, arthritis, heal pain, and more. With advanced pain management techniques, we provide fast, effective relief so you can live pain-free. La Clinique du Corps is an approved universal healthcare service provider in St. Lucia, accepting all approved insurance. Take back your life. Call La Clinique du Corps right now at 451-6559 to book your appointment. Pain stops here.
Get ready to jazz up your relaxation with M&C Home Depot and Sunbelt. This jazz season, we're turning up the style and the savings. Starting May 5th, enjoy 25% off umbrellas, folding chairs, and coolers. Pure jazz bliss. But hurry, it's for a limited time only. Head to M&C Home Depot or Sunbelt today and get 25% off and celebrate jazz in comfort and style. See in-store and online for details. Sale ends May 11th. Terms and conditions may apply.
Experience the magic of the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2025. The ultimate celebration on May 11th, Pigeon Island National Park. Dance under the stars with Earth, Wind, and Fire. Grammy-winning John Legend.
'Cause all of me loves all of you.
The Lao Teaser Band will take you on a fusion journey of jazz. The legendary St. Lucian talent of Ronald Blue Hinkson. Pianist and composer Richard Payne. The St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival. Purchase tickets at all sell outlets and St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival.com.
Over several years now, there's been a lot of talk in St. Lucia for us to have a Freedom of Information Act. And what this does is, in the event that you need critical information which the state has in its possession and is not divulging and sharing with the St. Lucian, in this case the St. Lucian public or the population, then an entity or an individual can always write to certain relevant authorities and request that information. But sometimes there could be some stumbling blocks that could be placed in your way in search of such information. And on the basis of maybe it's critical information that has implications for the security of a country, etc., you cannot divulge that information and so on. And therefore, on that basis, the information might not be provided, or it could be provided determining on the circumstances. But there's still need for us to at least have this as an option so that we do not continue to beg the authorities to provide us with information on certain critical issues and so on. But this has been in abeyance for a while. I think you have a draft legislation of 2009 and which is yet to be enacted into law. So that question was put recently during a pre-cabinet press briefing to the Information and Broadcasting Minister on the need for a Freedom of Information Act in St. Lucia.
We need to look at the totality of it. With rights come responsibilities. So we will certainly promote your rights. And Freedom of Information Act, I believe, is something we should look at seriously and promote it. But equally, we also have to hold persons who receive information accountable for how they use the information. So one has to come with the other.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire. So somebody sent me a WhatsApp message, just I imagine prompted by me announcing that would be speaking on the need for Freedom of Information Act. Person says, freedom of information is very important, but will we do with the information? But what will we do with the information? We now have the CIP contracts and the letter from Galaxy, which clearly explains the quid pro quo. We see clearly the problem, yet we still remain silent. And I guess the we that the individual is making reference to would be sections of the media, would be members of the commentariat community, people who comment on various issues that are occurring in our country. Because what I think is lacking is the deep, thought-provoking analysis on issues that are happening in this country. maybe through commentaries, whether in the electronic media or in terms of articles in, I almost said in our various newspapers, but we don't have more than one newspaper. We basically have the Voice newspaper. And I think that people are more likely to take pay serious attention to critical issues at a time when you had a vibrant media in St. Lucia, both electronic and print. So whatever the electronic media would have missed, then you got it in print. And you had the Voice, you had the Star, you had the Mirror, you had the Crusader newspapers. I mean, there's some people who buy all 4 newspapers. I remember as a kid, I could only have afforded one newspaper. You had a choice of either purchasing the Voice or you purchase the Star newspaper. But people who had the wherewithal would purchase all 4 newspapers. And analyses after analyses, people writing and taking one position, then you have a contrary position, all in the same newspaper. And this made for healthy debate on the issues that were occurring in the country at the time, and people were therefore better informed. Unfortunately, now you hear a lot from the politicians, and you know how this would be skewed one way or the other, and people have lost trust, faith, and confidence in our politicians. I think that is what is impacting us at this point in time. No matter what we hear, we ask ourselves whether we can give credence to what is being said. So you hear one set of information or position from the opposition, then you might get a rebuttal or a retraction from the government, and in the middle, you are confused, you are none the wiser. I think that is what is definitely lacking in this country. Dispassionate people who do not have a horse in the race, are coming forward and speaking genuinely on the issues that are affecting the people of the country. I think at this point in time, our society, we are just lost, we are just confused, and in some cases begging for guidance and leadership on a range of matters that are presented to the people on a daily basis. Let's find out if we have any reports from you, Amanda, regarding what is happening in the chat room.
Tim, someone says here, Rick, it is all about bread and butter. I keep it quiet because I want to get contracts regardless of what, losing my credibility in the process. My lips are sealed, so sad. This is who we have become as a people. Another comment reads, some St. Lucians need to read and understand and do their research. Stop running with whatever they hear. So many people come into the US now and so many questions are being asked. Why all of a sudden is that happening? Too much hatred in St. Lucia, politics, and some people are too politically blind. A NewsSpinner says here, the same PJP who said to the people that... let's try that again. The same PJP who said that people do not eat roads, now the roads are eating St. Lucians. What say you now, Mr. Prime Minister? Another comment reads, SLP do not care with the truth as long as they get into power, but they will see what winning by lies will lead to. Someone says here, and with the amount of money they have poured into the chicken coops, has proven that they were not even aware of how much it would take to bring those buildings up to par, to bring them up to standard of a functioning hospital. And after all that spending, it still isn't. Someone says here, are you sure you won this healer? And let's see if we have another comment in the chat room. Someone says their Freedom of Information Act will bring light on a lot of top officials in public and private service, so that will never be a thing. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for that final update. WhatsApp message, somebody says there, Tim, this is very sad that the less fortunate people in our country have to practically be begging for healthcare assistance. I want all St. Lucians to join me and ask the government the question, where is the National Health Insurance? Another WhatsApp message, people now eat road dust that is typically eating roads. Okay, that'll do it as far as our WhatsApp messages and of course reports from Amanda. Let's see if we have a WhatsApp message. Solid Waste needs to clarify the garbage collection days because it is ridiculous when you put your garbage out on scheduled days and the garbage truck does not collect it. Let's take a final call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air. I think we lost that call. All right. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message as we're getting all set to conclude another edition of the broadcast. Team, last night Kingdom Night Jazz show was one to remember. The local performers was amazing. However, transportation to and from the venue was a nightmare. I hope that the organizers look into the situation and make proper arrangements for next year. We have a final call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello. Good afternoon.
Tim. How you doing?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
And good afternoon to Amanda.
Good afternoon, caller.
The Freedom of Information Act would come in so handy. And we need to apply the pressure to ensure that this legislation or this law comes into being. And I'll give you 2 reasons why. Number one, had there been a Freedom of Information Act, this CIP scandal would not be a secret. You know why? Because persons like you, Tim, Rick Wayne, and like-minded concerned citizens would have written and forced the government, Ernest Hille, to disclose how many passports were sold. And it will not take Dubai for Ernest Hille to come and say that 5,000 files were sold to Galaxy. So that's one. That's one benefit of having the Freedom of Information Act. The next benefit has to do with this whole GBH scandal or deal. And it will not take Emma Hippolyte to say that there was a secret meeting, and it will not take us having to speculate and to fight and to speculate and to wonder what are the contents or the details of that whole GBH agreement, which is a secret, a hidden secret, because we'd have had a Freedom of Information Act that there would be full disclosure. And so everything that centers around this current Labour Party government is border secrecy and corruption. So I'm saying let us start the campaign team of pushing and pressuring this government to pass a Freedom of Information Act. And if they fail to do that, then the next incoming UWP government, we have to do likewise and ensure that we have a Freedom of Information Act that will protect the people and that politicians will know, governments will know, that once they do things, once they sign agreements, that the people of St. Lucia will be aware and will know the contents of those agreements. Have a blessed day, team.
Good to sir. Thank you so much for calling. And finally, our NewsSpin question of the day. The NewsSpin question of the day reads, why is St. Lucia still without a Freedom of Information Act? Why is St. Lucia still without a Freedom of Information Act? That's a broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show. Please join us same time tomorrow afternoon, 12:30, for another edition of the program. Goodbye.